It's a little bit of a challenge and a contradiction to introduce someone who in fact does not want to be in the center of the spotlight. When we got word that Jim was nominated and that we knew the voting was going to be online, we got all excited. There's one thing we know how to do, is how to get people to respond online. And Jim said, no, we can't do that. We can't go there. We can't organize around this campaign. He's been an extraordinary, important, critical presence at Brave New Films from day one. We've gone through amazing transformations and changes from the full-length films to the short pieces to our new plans. Every step of the way, he's pushed us, he's inspired us. He truly does not know the meaning of the word, oh, I don't think it can be done. Whether it was when we first started together and he was a researcher, and then we went out with this movie called Fox, and suddenly we realized there was no website. And Jim said, okay, I'll fix it. And then 3 days later, there was a website. I assume that's the way it worked all the time, in my ignorance. And then he started talking about this coding stuff and backroom stuff, and constantly created the plan for Brave New Theaters to allow all filmmakers to use our software to have screenings, worked with some of the Move On folks and the house parties, and now, as they just said, we just passed 14 million views on the short videos, in no small part due to Jim's contribution. We went through 6 months when it was incredibly tough, as we saw him literally struggle to breathe. He would come to the office with oxygen, and he never once ever complained about it, and he kept up his workload almost the entire time, which was truly miraculous. He's a friend, he's a colleague, and he's made a tremendous contribution to the progressive movement. So it's with joy and pleasure I give the award to Jim.
Thanks. I first met Robert shortly after the occupation began in Iraq. Someone I met at a Move On event forwarded me an email from him looking for someone to do research for a few months. I sent him a link to my blog, and he called me within the hour. That was almost 5 years ago. At the time, I'd become quite cynical and apathetic about the world. I grew up as a frighteningly precocious Christian fundamentalist. I called talk radio, I went on mission trips, I listened to Rush Limbaugh. But eventually I became disillusioned. I spent a year at Jerry Falwell's Liberty University. I lost my mom to cancer, and I had to fight cancer myself twice. To survive, I was forced to rely on others. My doctors, my family, the scientific community. I even needed someone else's bone marrow. Someone I'd never even met. Clearly, my fiercely independent, conservative worldview was just totally wrong. I owed every moment of my life to countless people I would never meet. Then the country flipped out over 9/11, and the dormant activist in me awoke. It was no longer a question of whether I could actually change anything, but whether or not I could live with myself if I didn't try. So I jumped at the chance to research Bush's lies for Robert's first documentary, uncovered the war on Iraq. 4 crazy, intense months later, I was driving up to the very first screening we had at an indie theater in Santa Monica. And the line was like all the way down the street. And I was like, wow, this works. This is how one person can have an impact. So we added a second screening that night, and in a matter of weeks, with the power of the internet, hundreds of thousands of people heard from insiders at the CIA that Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction. You remember at the time, I mean, the media considered it treason to even suggest such a thing. So progressive activists organized thousands of screenings in communities all over the world to get the message out. And now the only people who don't know this story are the people still watching Fox News. Apathy was dead. This whole changing the world thing was like crack. I didn't care how much money I made, or if my car was clean, or even my own health. I was addicted. And the whole world runs on stories. We can change the stories. Carl Pope says it perfectly in This Brave Nation, our new 6-part documentary series with The Nation coming out in May. He says, just take what you love doing and do it with enough other people to make it the future. We all have a story to tell about how we became activists, how we became addicted to progress. Here's my challenge to you. Most of you know very talented people working for very large corporations, and they're miserable. Work them. Stop talking about how the country is screwed up for long enough to show them how much fun it can be to do something meaningful. They won't convert overnight. I worked one friend of mine for over 3 years, but it does work. She left her corporate marketing job last fall to become an environmental activist. So, Brave New Films is here to help. Evangelism is hard. So we're going to show you the trailer for This Brave Nation in a minute. An all-star team at Brave New Foundation and the Nation put this together. Christopher Sprinkle, Erica Yancey, Bill DeWall, Peter Rothberg, and of course Robert and Katrina. My hope is that you will get a few of these DVDs, bring your talented friends over for dinner, tell them your story, and invite them to make the future with you.